Hi guys, I'm going over some questions that I've received on the 32 review. So here is question 10, 13, 14, and 17. So number 10, the circumference of a thin metal band that protects the circular glass face of Dale's watch is 16 pi centimeters. So I drew a circle, or his watch, and the circumference, remember the distance around, is 16 pi. Find the area of the glass face. Now the problem with this is there is no formula that has a C for circumference and an A for area. There's no formula with both of those. So that tells me I'm going to have to do this in two steps, maybe use two different formulas. So because I'm given circumference, I wrote the circumference formula. Now I'm going to think, well, what does the circumference get me? If I know circumference C, what can I find? I can find R. Now I did forget right here, when I filled in circumference, I accidentally just filled in the 16. So let me fix that. So I'm going to fill in 16 pi for circumference equals 2 pi r. So now I'm going to divide by 2 pi, divide by 2 pi. That's going to give me r, which is radius. And you can do this in your head or in your calculator. 16 pi divided by, don't forget parentheses if you're using a calculator, 2 pi needs to be in parentheses. You should get 8. So my radius is 8. Now that's not my answer, but that's going to help me find the area, because the area formula is pi r squared. Now I know r is 8, so I'm going to fill in the r. Remember I had a mistake from earlier, so this needs to be an 8. Okay, so what is pi, let me rewrite it, area equals pi r squared. You could type that in your calculator, or 8 squared is 64. So 64 pi centimeters squared is how you do number 10. Again, you have to do it in two steps because there's not one formula with a C and an A. You're going to have to use two different formulas. So sorry about that. I forgot the pi over there. All right, let's look at question 13. A swimming pool has a circular shape. The diameter of the pool is 15. You need to buy a new liner for the bottom of the pool. How many square feet of liner would you need? If it costs $5 per square foot, what would be the total cost? So I made a note here. If I want this this liner, the liner is covering the whole bottom. So that's not just the circumference. I don't just want to line the edges. I want the whole bottom of the pool to be covered. So that means it's area. I need the area of this pool. So I'm going to write area equals pi r squared. And I know r, the radius, because the diameter is 15. So the radius is half a diameter. So that's how I put 7.5 in here. Then I just typed all that in, and I got about 177 feet squared. That's the area. And since each foot squared, here it says, per square foot, each of these 177 feet squared cost me $5. So I have to multiply this by 5 to get my final answer. $885. That's pretty expensive. We did have a part B here. So part B says, what distance would be traveled if you swim around the edge of the circular pool? So that's the circumference question. So if it doesn't say what's the circumference, just read it and try to think about what they're asking you for. You're swimming around the edge, so circumference. So you write your formula. Circumference equals 2 pi r, or pi times diameter. I use pi times diameter because the directions said the diameter was 15. Plug that right in. All right, so that's 13. Let's go to 14. The measure of the arc of a sector, now we have a whole sector formula, is 72. And the area of the sector is 5 pi inches squared. What is the radius of this circle? So this right here is the formula that you should have on what I would have said print on gold paper. You should have that formula written down. The sector, like the piece of pie area over the area of the whole circle, equals the degree of the sector part over 360. So this sector is this little piece of pie right there, and they told me that area of the sector was 5 pi, so I put 5 pi right there. Area of the circle, we're not really sure, so I just left it area of the circle. The degree it told me in the directions was 72. I also drew it over 360. So if I go ahead and cross multiply, 5 pi times 360 equals 72 times A, I end up getting 78.54 is the area of the circle. Now, what's the question? What is the radius? Well, radius wasn't in this formula anywhere. But now that I know area of a circle, well, what's the area formula? That formula has radius in it. So again, you're using two different formulas to get to your final answer. Now that I know the area of the circle from this formula, I write area of a circle is pi r squared. This was the area, so that gets plugged in right here, equals pi r squared. Now remember, r is your variable, so divide by pi. You get about 25. And then to get r by itself, remember you want a square root to get rid of squared, so that gives you 5 for a radius. Okay, and then 17, oops, one second. Okay, so number 17, it says, we need to find the area of the shaded region. Well, that is a sector, so I'm using that same formula that we just had. Area of a sector over area of a circle equals degree over 360. Area of the sector, we don't know, so I'll call it x. Area of the circle, well, I don't know the area of the circle because they didn't tell me, but they did tell me that this radius here was 4. So that can help me find the area of the circle, because area of the circle equals pi r squared. And my radius was 4. So if this is a 4, 4 squared is 16, so that's 16 pi, which is why I put 16 pi right here for the area. The degree is 65, that's from the picture, over 360. Now you just need to cross multiply, so you're going to type in, or write, 16 pi times 65 equals 360x, and then solve by dividing by 360. That's how I get x. Let me type it in just to double check, make sure I didn't type anything wrong. Yep, 9.08 inches squared would be the area of that shaded region. So hopefully that helps. Those are the questions you guys asked so far. If you have more, get them in quick, because we've had this for a while, and I believe tomorrow is your quiz. Yep, tomorrow is your quiz. All right, thanks for asking.